Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to stand in front of you and give you for the next 45 minutes a presentation about the question, what is autonomous, what is smart logistics, what is intelligent warehouses like this show. And as a first start, I wanted to show you this short little movie, which was about digitization and examples for digitization. And one thing which was surprising to me when we tried to collect these movies was there are a lot of examples already existing. Not everything is existing yet, but most of it is existing yet. But as you could see, almost in every part of the movie, there were human beings. So if we talk about the topic of autonomous systems, does that mean that the human beings will be replaced from our warehouses, will be replaced from our processes? So my first question of this talk this afternoon is the question, as times change and the ideas of Industry 4.0 are increasingly implemented like autonomous systems and digitization, are humans in logistics a discontinued model, or will they become an integral part of Industry 4.0 with the support of modern technologies? How to get an integrative part of Industry 4.0. Unfortunately, we don't have a wireless LAN access. We need to have new ways of communication with machines. And my early answer to the question, are human beings still a really important part of logistics in the future, is clearly stated, it depends. There are already systems that are fully autonomous. There are a lot of factories fully autonomous, but in most cases, the best solution is somehow somewhere between autonomous systems working together, collaborating together with human beings. Actually, as soon as Industry 4.0 was started, a lot of people already found a lot of reasons for not seeing any possibility for success of this strategy. And there was even a big book called Illusion 4.0, which stated what you can see on the screen. Moreover, Industry 4.0 is based on the thinking error that a nonlinear and social system like a factory, human beings and machines, can be controlled with algorithms. This has never worked before, and this will be the case this time as well. It will fail for sure. Actually, we have shown now, after 12 years of Industry 4.0, that there is a good chance. And what is the problem? The problem is there is a mistake in the sentence. We never tried to control a factory by algorithms. We tried to do it with much more than algorithms. And this is exactly what we understand when we talk about autonomous systems. So one of my very nice colleagues, one of the fathers of Industry 4.0, Michael ten Hompel, he originally said the term Industry 4.0 originally stood for the autonomization of logistics, the topic of today, in the sense of an Internet of Things. In the meantime, the fourth industrial revolution has become synonymous with general digitization. Those who do not think about the digitalization of their supply chain today risk their existence. So it's an important topic. But does it necessarily mean everything has to be autonomous, automatic, whatever? This is what we want to clarify within the next minutes. Let's have a look. What is the key criteria for everyone who is working in logistics? What are the key criteria for a customer who is interested in our services in logistics? What is the key criteria of our customers buying logistics systems? Actually, my theory is, it's first of all efficiency. I want to increase my efficiency. It's effectiveness. It's robustness, at least since 2020, since we learned that logistics is not working every time. And what we need as an add-on is the necessary flexibility. It's not flexibility by itself. It's not availability by itself. If I just need something for 8 hours, it does not have to be available for the rest of the time. So necessary availability and necessary adaptability. If I know exactly what happens there over the next 5 years, it doesn't have to be adaptive. I know what I need. So let's have a look. What are our real goals when we talk about logistic systems? Is it flexibility? Is it digitization? And honestly speaking, as I answered, flexibility, what is the reason why I want to have flexibility? I want to have flexibility because I'm not sure what will happen over the next years. I have a lot of uncertainty in my decisions. So I want to have a system which is adaptable to different cases for the future. I want to be responsive. So if my customers increase their needs and demands within a very short time, I want to be reactive. Efficiency with different workloads. I want to be efficient even if my workload is changing from time to time. Uncertainty management. I want to manage my uncertainty. If I cannot really reduce my uncertainty, I have to manage it. And handling of article variants. Today we have an enormous number of different articles of everything. But unfortunately, if I want to provide flexibility, I have to invest in flexibility. It costs money. And to use flexibility is once again something which costs some money. So I reduce efficiency. Digitization. What is digitization a goal? Many customers just tell me, I want to have a digital factory. And the question is, why? What is the reason why you want to have this digital factory? And the clear answer is, the first goal I have is transparency. I want to have transparency over my processes. And why do I want to have transparency? Because I want to be reactive. If something is changing, I want to work according to this new thing. So responsiveness is again a good goal. Efficiency with variable processes. My process is changing from time to time. Uncertainty management once again, and handling of article variants again. But again, digitization, I have to invest in digital products, in digital processes, so it causes costs and takes time. Very famous people over ages found out that if you can't measure something, you cannot manage it. This was a pretty new idea in 1980 roundabout, but even William Thomson, Lord Kelvin already said if you can't measure it, you cannot improve it. So what is our goal? Yes, we want to manage, but basically what we want to do is a continuous improvement of our operations. We want to get better. We want to get more efficient. We want to get more productive. So I would even work according to the theory of Mr. Kelvin, not just about the idea of managing something, but improving our processes. So the goals to satisfy the customer and the company, from my point of view, and this is a quite long experience so far, is just the two things: time and resource efficiency and productivity. And by the way, productivity is again pretty similar to efficiency. So if I'm very good in my productiveness, then I'm obviously working very efficient with my resources. Let's just have a very short look to autonomy. What was the reason why we were thinking about autonomous systems? It was actually the reason that we saw that our processes are not always stable all the time. So there were exceptions to the processes, there were errors, there were mistakes. And the first idea for autonomous systems was, I want to have my car, my transportation, my handling robot clarify the situation by itself, making decisions by itself, solving the problem without the central control system. But it was first of all exception handling. So when we talk about the characteristics of autonomous systems, it's adaptable, so I can change its environment and it will still find out where it is and what it's doing, in certain ranges, by the way. Self-learning, improving itself, dealing with uncertainties. Once again, we always have uncertainties around us, and the ability to make independent decisions. That's probably the core of autonomous machines. What is the difference between autonomous and automated? We have so many automated systems working really successfully with a very high efficiency. Henry Ford's idea was just great. It's probably the most productive environment because you can get an utilization up to nearly 100%. But unfortunately, it was not enough because with the number of variants, we had to be more flexible and we had more uncertainty. We have to react, we have to be responsive. So what are the very important differences between the levels? Environment, decision-making, interaction, and self-optimization. That's the key components of autonomous. And now you have a look to these nice little graphics there. And there is one surprising thing, because if you have a look, there is the human being, and there is the system, and this is the increasing degree of autonomy, of autonomous systems. First of all, the degree of automation. And you can easily find out, obviously, autonomy is 0 on the left side. But is that true? No, it's not true, because the left side is the human being, and the human being can make decisions. The left side is capable of doing decisions by itself. But if you start with the first step of automation, you immediately start to increase the autonomy of the system, of the control system. And it's not just about the manipulation. It's not just about the transportation. It's about the scheduling. It's about the planning work. It's about the optimization of the system. So there are several levels where our systems are autonomous today. If we have a look to an order picking system, where human beings receive a list what they should follow, then obviously the control system, the ERP system, is doing already the first autonomous decisions. It's working by itself in giving a proposal to the human being, and the best idea is follow it. So if you now have a look, this is exactly what I tried to say. Where do we have today autonomous intralogistic systems? On the left side, in the storage, we are awarding of contracts. So it's in the storage, it's in the administration, it's in the ERP system where we have the first autonomous processes. It's in the transportation. Awarding contracts also means order handling, order management, the optimization of the order handling. But also in the handling and commissioning or order picking. We have picking robots today around. They are doing autonomous work. They are working independently. So in the rest of my presentation, I want to focus on, first of all, the increase of different functions in autonomous systems. And I do believe all of us are aware of this nice little product. Actually, the first ones were invented in the early 60s of the last century. That's called automated guided vehicles. But as the name says, automated guided vehicle, it's not an autonomous system. Today, we have different suppliers for autonomous systems for transportation called AMR, Autonomous Mobile Robot Systems. So these are just examples from different suppliers, and you can see from very small ones. This one is not so big. This is a very small one, just with one box on it, up to our typical forklift trucks, which we have. This is something in between. Agilox, also a fleet management system, which is working on the basis of swarm intelligence. And this one is meanwhile pretty famous. The supplier of this little yellow vehicle is a quite known company called BMW. So BMW said, I cannot work with the standard vehicles in the market. I want to have something which is more autonomous, which is more making its own decisions, and it's working independently. So this was the first start of autonomous systems. What was the reason for having autonomous systems? Going around obstacles, changing the sequence of the orders, going into different routes, working in new environments. SLAM was simultaneous localization and mapping. That actually means you bring such a system into a new environment, and it recognizes the environment and understands how it can interact there. Making small decisions. Just imagine you are driving your car and in front of you there is an accident. This is decentralized decision making, because what you are doing is communicating with the other drivers and go around the obstacle with not following all the rules of the traffic anymore, because otherwise you cannot go around that. That's a decentralized decision making in the normal world of human beings. This is what these vehicles are capable for. So if you have a look to these mobile platforms, you can see, yeah, actually we have autonomous navigation systems that are recognizing their environment, using SLAM technologies, but we also have to have a very precise environment. And the interesting thing is, both the right side is the navigation. It's just important to work in a new environment, being flexible, going around obstacles. It's the opposite of precise positioning. The left side is precise positioning. So I change my mode of the navigation even. And the vehicle has to understand what is the important parameter in which situation. Yeah, the next step in logistics was the item picking. So we wanted to get rid of some people and wanted to pick something from a box. There is a lot of famous challenges. Autonomous picking challenge of Amazon is a worldwide challenge of different suppliers. So you can see different examples for picking robots from a lot of different suppliers. The next step in becoming more efficient by using autonomous technology for doing very flexible processes. Every single step of such a system is an autonomous process, because the first one is, by the way, AI-based computer vision. I have to recognize my item. The second one is find out where to grasp the item. So what is the center of gravity? Where can I pick this little item? And then successfully get it out. There is one significant disadvantage. Most of these unfortunate robot arms cannot repair a situation if something drops down. So if something is lost while I'm manipulating, it lies on the floor and it's no longer reachable for the system. This is a solution for solving this problem. A pick center of TGW, which is allowing that even if something falls down, it never gets out of the range of the reachable positions of the robot arm. So that was the next step in our cases, but it's not only robot arms. It's also some robots that are working in environments together with human beings. So the next step is to show you two little movies. The first one is item picking. It's an example from Swisslog. Normally there was some sound in it, but... And please for the next one as well. So you see, it finds the position of the different articles, it finds the center of gravity, so how to pick the article, and even more important, it has an adaptive gripper, which is capable of doing different things. And you will find out, so the gripping method has to be defined. That's a decision by the robot. Using which gripper is a decision made by the robot, and finding the position. And as everyone knows, it's also important to have at least a certain payload. So this was important for the gripper as well, to not only be able to work with the puzzle, but also use the payload to understand how to handle heavy things. It's working together with different systems, so it's communicating with the systems. It's working together in collaboration with all the different parts of our logistics system. The next example you will see is not a robot arm. It's an example from Magazino. So in this case, we have a robot that is working in an environment where we also have human beings. And you will see two different challenges. First of all, human beings are always an obstacle. They are always on the right position, they believe. But for the robot, it's the wrong decision. They want to go around them. The second problem, human beings are not very precise. And you will see that as an example, when they put some boxes in a rack, there will be a problem. And once again, you saw a lot of human beings around the robots. So it's still a system which is using autonomous systems, but still collaborating with human beings. Unfortunately, in this case, you saw safety first. So the robot is always the one who cares about the human beings. Unfortunately, the efficiency of the robot is decreased by that. You saw as well that there were tablets used. So this is a way for the communication with the people around. So information has to be transferred from the system to the human beings to have them as an integrated part of Industry 4.0. So that was picking, and that was transportation, two different autonomous systems. Let's think about, would it make sense to combine both? So having a transportation system which is also working with robot arms, yeah, would be a nice idea. First reason, you could get something from a rack that was like the Magazino robot did. You can put something into a rack. You can do even additional steps. Unfortunately, the Toyota guys told us that transportation does not have any value. There is no value added by transportation, but it's still necessary. So let's do something which is generating value. Why we are transporting something. And that is the idea behind what you see now. That's so far just a research project, but together with industry, and they start to use it. It's a two-arm manipulation. So we have two robot arms doing something together. And you can easily understand if you try by your own what you can do with one hand, and if you compare what you can do with two hands, you will easily find out a lot of sorting, assembly, unpackaging, packaging is not possible if you just use one robot arm. So the idea behind was to combine both. First of all, use two robot arms and do some working steps, some process steps that are possible with the two robot arms. So you see that there is just the use of one on the left side. On the right-hand side, it's not doing something together, but it starts to work in the same environment at the same time. That was the beginning of the research. Actually, it becomes more interesting if we really do something where we do an assembly, for instance. So let's go ahead. What we wanted to do is, we want to have a coordinated motion of both robot arms, and we wanted to do even handling steps that we fix something into another part. So the first step was assembly without fixture. It's always necessary if you work with one robot arm and you want to do something with it, to use a fixture in order to have the correct forces against your own movement. If you want to do something without fixtures, because you have an infinity of different articles and products, then you need a second robot. It fixes it, it keeps it, and is starting to give some more forces to the article. So static temporal motion synchronization by the programmer, we do coordinate both. But that was actually not enough. Now we have a system which is working in the moment if it's fixed somewhere, it's standing still. For mechanical reasons, if you want to do something while the system is in motion, it becomes much more complex because you have to get into the kinematics of your programmed arm, also the overlying reactions of the movement and the motion of the transportation vehicle. So the next step which we did was, we wanted to have this pump and a control block, and this has to be taken over from the storage into the production. And while it's transported from the storage to the production to the assembly line, there is a first assembly of these little parts into each other. That company Harvey is a hydraulic company from Germany, and they started to do that as a first prototype for this two-arm manipulation on a movable platform. Still necessary, I have to perceive my environment. So this is the camera for perceiving the environment, for starting the gripping process. It's done by different skills, so that the system is trained to do something. That's done with the help of RoboMinds, that's another German robot control company. bringing AI into the robot control, starting with training skills. And one of the skills is to grip something, to install something. So the process is learned even before the commissioning of the system, but it's optimized during the daily operations. Yeah, that's the detection, the perception of the environment, and you can see we also have the problem to understand if we see something wrong. That's the training process. We learn something about the risk of having something not in the right pose or in the right position. So that's another project where we have now transportation with the manipulation and material handling of robot arm combined, and put everything on this movable platform and transport the robot arms, and they are doing first steps of assembly, of sorting, of whatever during the transportation. Fully autonomous system, gripping autonomous, recognition autonomous, control of the movement autonomous, the navigation is autonomous, so I would say almost everything is autonomous. Does that still necessarily mean that the perfect solution for our production environments in the future is a fully autonomous environment? So what people called a dark factory. We don't need any light anymore because there are no human beings. And my clear statement is sometimes yes, sometimes no. If you have a look to this chart, it just should show. If you have a look to warehouses, on the left-hand side, you can see there is obviously automated vehicles. There are the solutions of Amazon Robotics. That's a mobile robotic fulfillment center. So autonomous robots collecting everything. But we can also use manual forklifts for doing the transportation. In case we have not so many transport activities, it just makes no sense to go into a fully automated system. But even more important is, can we live in an environment where we have successfully human beings working together with these autonomous systems? And this is exactly, in many cases, in order picking the need. We have human beings there, we have a lot of human beings there, but sometimes we need the support of robots, or vice versa. We have a fleet of robots, but because of additional performance, we add some human beings there. Both is absolutely possible. And you can see, in most cases, the problem is how to interact, how to give information from machines to human beings and from human beings to machines. A lot of different versions are available today. We can work in many, many different ways. You have seen the example of Magazzino recognizing errors and mistakes human beings did. There is a little challenge still in the behavior. Just imagine you are a human being and you are doing an order picking process. You are standing there in front of a rack and try to get something from the rack, and now the robot is approaching. So sometimes we don't feel fine if the robot is very close to us. So the robot has some safety sensors and stops about 30 centimeters away from us. That's maybe too close. So what we are doing is we go one step to the side. What is the robot doing? It follows. It's again 30 centimeters away from us. So we have to learn how human beings behave and how the robots should behave in order to have both efficient. It's not enough that just the human beings are working efficiently. And I can tell you, in most automated or hybrid systems, the robots are not efficient. For a very simple reason, they always have to take care of the human beings. They always have to slow down, because human beings are jumping wherever around. If you would have a forklift truck, a manually driven forklift truck, and compare it to an automated forklift truck, you normally need between 2 and 5 to replace with automated forklift trucks, one manual truck. And that's not a problem of the performance of the system. It's just a reduction of the efficiency by a high degree of safety, by a high degree of taking care of everything. And we have to do something to work together successfully. We have to understand that in this environment, both technologies, human being is also some sort of a very complex technology, and the autonomous systems have to be stakeholders in a successful system.
The future of construction is based on a digital information network. How can machine operators connect and interact with this new world? With technology of augmented reality, operator and machine connectivity will reach a new level. With the integration of augmented reality into the operator's cabin, sophisticated live data is clearly visualized. Interactive data improves efficiency and operator safety. Attachments can be easily controlled and monitored. With the integration of building information modeling, connected with real-time machine data, the experience on the job site becomes seamlessly digital. The construction industry is ready for the job site of tomorrow.
Probably you are quite surprised and say, what's that? That's construction industry, that's not a logistic system. What's that? Actually, that was a first and really impressive approach how to use augmented reality. Now we do the opposite direction. There is still an autonomous system. There is a decision-making system behind the scene. The human being is controlling the construction machine, but he's working according to the needs of the control system. So everything which is coming as an information to the augmented reality by the HoloLens is coming from an electronic system. So this is a supporting system behind. The manipulation is still done from the human being. But the information, the help, the support is coming from an underlying control system from behind. And as a communication interface, we use augmented reality. And this is just one example how we can reach a status where we use human beings as very important parts of logistic systems, as very important stakeholders of the system. We will still have a lot of the opportunities where we use the capabilities of human beings. We have great sensors, we have great grippers, we are a very universal machine so far, and we will use human beings, we will need human beings for many needs, but we will support them by technology to be more reliable, to be more efficient, and sometimes even to make the work a little bit easier for the people. If you have changing processes, it's important to give information to people. HoloLens is a very intuitive way to make people understand. So, as a short little summary, what is important for us to work successfully? Somewhere between autonomous systems and manual systems. The first thing is we have to understand all different disciplines. If I talk about disciplines, it really means we need to educate people. We need to make people accept this help from the supportive technologies. We have to make them understand that it's a value for them to interact and to collaborate with the support of technology. We have to overcome the efficiency gap, and that's really an important one. Our automated and autonomous systems are not yet that efficient like manual systems in most cases. We can compensate that because they have a 24-hour working time. So they can continuously work. But if we need a peak performance, like at lunchtime in a hospital, the performance of human beings can be increased. The performance of machines cannot be increased that much. So we have to overcome this efficiency gap. There is no physical reason, there is not one mathematical reason why an automated system should be less powerful and less performant as a manually driven truck. Hybrid controls. We don't have to decide if we want to have a fully centralized control system or we want to have a decentralized system, because both has a lot of advantages. So the future will show us how we have a centralized control system, switching down into decentralized modes in specific zones if we have the need, because a process was not stable. Cross-company linkage in the design of intralogistic systems. Yeah, that's the classical interface problem. We have to have solutions. You have to work like a puzzle with different solutions, even across the borders between companies. We want to connect different systems easily. Today, in a factory, even in a small factory, we have not one system. We have several systems cooperating with each other. Non-proprietary solutions in software controls. So, okay, let's start with good interfaces. That would be a nice start. But basically, we need some sort of an open world for the software controls. Digital twins at system level. Today we have a lot of separated twins. We have a part of the information. But basically, to optimize the total system, we have to know everything. We have to share the information between the digital twins. Raising the hardware to the level of autonomy, not standard goods. That means that we want to have a flexible solution in case we want to make a decision-making decentralized. Deep learning, data mining as a strong element in the control of intralogistic systems. Today, in most cases, AI is used during the development, maybe during the commissioning process. We have to optimize our systems during the operation. We have to collect the data during the operation. There is the highest potential for a real optimization process with an AI-based observation system. Yeah, human-machine interfaces to cover more requirements from both sides. My example of the robot approaching the human being, we need to understand we have to find a way for real collaboration, not just something which is based on algorithms. And the last, man-machine behavior to maintain efficiency on both sides. Today, we exclusively protect people. That's absolutely important, but it's in the moment reducing the efficiency of the automated systems too much. Yeah, actually I think I'm pretty well in time. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you had a little fun and heard something which was not just standard. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. Thank you very much.